Hello, welcome to Drumchapel St Andrew's virtual church. I hope you're keeping well and I hope that you're finding a way through this. That although it's been a while now, there is still a sense that this is a really unfamiliar landscape and I hope you're finding a way to come through this. I'm recording this on Friday morning and it is an absolutely beautiful morning. It has been such a fabulous week. And it seems so strange that that's Easter holidays past, we're into summer term now, and yet things are still so strange in every way. There's been talk this week about a new normal, and that's hard because adapting to something that is so different is still a really hard thing to do. But I hope you're finding a way through this. Thanks so much for checking in today. It's just a real privilege for me to be able to be part of your lives and to be sharing with you in our church on a Sunday morning. So thank you. Thank you for all who belong to our church family and tuning in, because one of the things about our church is that we don't have membership, that we have belonging. And so by tuning in online, that you become part of our church family. And so it is really good to be with you today. It's good to connect with you. And I hope that as we do this, there is still that overwhelming sense of connection and together and of love, which fills in that distance that there is between us right now. So welcome to our church service today. Our theme for today is After Hours. And we're looking at another story in the Bible after Easter. What I'd invite you to do again is to pause me and listen to the songs wherever they come in the service. I've put a list on our Facebook page and in the comments section on the YouTube channel, just giving you links to all the songs that we're doing today. And so this is a moment to pause me and to listen to or sing along with our first song, which is Over My Head. For our sharing time, our good wishes are with you. If you're celebrating something, we hope that you will know that across all of us, we're thinking of you and celebrating with you in whatever it is that is good in your life right now. If you're going through a hard time, then our thoughts and prayers are with you, and know that your church family are thinking of you at this time. If it's your birthday, last week, this week, a really happy birthday to you. Hope you will have a fabulous day, and I hope that you will know that in our hearts we're celebrating it with you. I really like getting clothes from designer outlets, because sometimes you can get really good stuff at very cheap prices. Before the lockdown, I got a pair of Armani jeans really cheap, like way cheaper than usual. These would normally be hundreds of pounds. And I'm looking at it and thinking, wow, that's fabulous. What a good deal that is. On the label it said irregular, and quite often you get that in sale things, that maybe the stitching's just a bit out or something's not quite right on it, and that's why it's so much cheaper than it would normally be. But usually nobody would notice something like that. And they were all in a pile, and I'm thinking, look, as long as it's not something like, one leg is longer than the other, or something like that, nobody's going to notice. They are so cheap, I'm just going to get them. And I didn't need to try them on because I know what size I am, I know what fits. So got them home and went to try them on. Seriously? I'm not going to be wearing them, obviously. Do you know, there are some things you can't do anything about. Well, maybe I could cut the other leg and make them into shorts. But sometimes there are things that you just can't change. And maybe in those moments, you just have to live with things and make the best of them, even if it just means finding a smile or finding a way to say, you know, that's okay. Because in the big picture of things, it's maybe not the biggest deal. Sometimes there are things that you can change or make better. And if you can, do it. Today we're looking at a story in the Bible where two people on a journey met Jesus after he'd come alive after Easter. The moment they met him, they were feeling that nothing was okay. Their whole lives had been turned upside down by what had happened when Jesus had died. And they felt like nothing was going to be okay ever again. But it turned out that things were way different. And as they met Jesus, there was a moment where they saw things just in a different way. You know, sometimes something happens, even when things are hard, and it just shows you how amazing life is. Shows you that God is there, whatever it is that you're living through. Helps you to understand yourself better and helps you to see how awesome things can be in the future. Faith is what helps you make sense of these moments and to see how these moments can help you find a whole new energy to face whatever is ahead of you in your life journey. Let's do a prayer. Let's pray. God, thanks for moments that change how we see everything. Sometimes those moments happen when things round about us are hard, but they help to show us that you're there, that life can be okay even through hard times, and that there is always hope. Amen. Okay, I want you to pause me now, and our next song is Touch the Sky. I'd like to invite you today to create our prayer in your own heart as we share these words together. Let's do a prayer. God, I take this moment to discover the peace of my own heart. I breathe deeply, and with each breath, I feel the energy and the life that's within me. For a moment, I allow myself just to be comfortable with myself. I value who I am. I appreciate my insights, my intuition, my perspectives. A lot of what I'm living just now is unfamiliar. And this is not an easy journey. But I have an inner strength that reminds me that I am created to face the unfamiliar, the uncertain, and to find a way to make the best of every journey. Today I reach deep inside for the resources that will always bring me through. I allow myself to feel hope, to feel peace, to trust God, myself, those who love me. In this moment, I recognize that prayer touches not just my heart, but the lives of those around me. A thought for those I love. A thought for those on my mind. A thought for those who make a difference, including me. A thought for those facing danger. Hope for the days ahead. Medical advances in the fight against COVID-19. A thought for the other situations facing people in lives that still go on. A thought for those who have lost people they love. For all who face health problems, whether or not related to the virus. A thought for people with hard choices to make. And a smile for those around me. A rainbow to say there is always hope. A balloon flying into the sky. A heart to remind the people in my life I love them. A belief that life and that love will always find a way through. Amen. Our Bible reading is in the book of Luke. It's Luke chapter 24 from verse 13 through 32. It's one of the after Easter stories. On that same day, two of Jesus' followers were going to a village named Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. And they were talking to each other about all the things that had happened. As they talked and discussed, Jesus himself drew near and walked alongside them. They saw him, but somehow didn't recognize him. Jesus said to them, "What are you talking about to each other as you walk along?" They stood still with sad faces. One of them, named Cleopas, asked him, "Are you the only visitor in Jerusalem who doesn't know the things that have been happening there these last few days?" "What things?" he asked. "The things that happened to Jesus," they answered. This man was a prophet and was considered by God and by all the people to be powerful in everything he said and did. He was sentenced to death and crucified. And we'd hoped that he would be the one that was going to set Israel free. Besides all that, this is now the third day since it happened. Some of the women in our group surprised us. They went at dawn to the tomb, but couldn't find his body. They came back, saying they had seen a vision of angels who told them that he's alive. Some of the group went to the tomb and found it exactly as the women had said, but they didn't see him. Then Jesus explained to them what was said about himself in all the scriptures, beginning with the books of Moses and the writings of all the prophets. As they came near the village to which they were going, Jesus acted as if he was going further, but they held him back, saying, "Stay with us. The day's almost over and it's getting dark." So he went in to stay with them. He sat down to eat with them, took the bread and said the blessing. Then he broke the bread and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened and they recognized him, but he disappeared from their sight. They said to each other, "Wasn't it like a fire burning in us when he talked to us on the road and explained the scriptures to us?" And I'm going to do a reading which is called The Invitation by Uriah Mountain Dreamer. The Invitation. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the centre of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you're telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself, if you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul, if you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it's not pretty, every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand on the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, "Yes!" It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the centre of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you've studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. Time to pause me and to listen to or sing along with our next song, which is Be Still for the Presence of the Lord. In 2015, Poundland bought over the 99p store. I was disappointed to discover it had cost them £55 million. Things are not always how they seem. One moment in time, a moment that changes everything, a moment that changes your life. Stan Lee, the Marvel movie producer, was asked what he thought was the greatest superpower. He said, luck. I'm not sure I would call it luck, but I understand what he's saying. I think I'd call it right place at right time. And I really believe in right place at right time. I think that's what today's story is about. Two people are travelling to a village called Emmaus. They're talking about what happened when Jesus died. And then they meet Jesus. It's one of these spooky stories that sort of gives you a shiver, but not in a bad way. Our project, 3D Drumchapel, used to be called the Emmaus Family Project, after this story. There was a sense right from the very start that 3D is about that encounter or moment in your life journey that might just change your life. We changed the name for a couple of reasons. Nobody could spell it and nobody could say it. And people that didn't know the project didn't really know what it meant. If you've been part of 3D, you'll have a sense of why this story fits with what 3D is as a project. In our lives, there are moments that change the course of our future. Two travellers on the road to Emmaus who can only see the hard things of the past. They encounter Jesus. And in that experience, in one moment, everything changes. That's what faith is about. Jesus talks to them, but there is a moment where suddenly they just get it. They're no longer stuck in what happened in the past. They're energized for what's ahead of them. And here's where you find faith. Jesus doesn't tell them what they have to believe. Jesus doesn't make everything okay. Because actually, on the outside, nothing has changed. What meeting Jesus has done is to change how they see everything. There will always be things over which you have no control. What you always have control over is how you respond to them. My one form of exercise a day is to cycle along the canal. Last week I was approaching some people and I rang my bell. This guy steps right out in front of me. It was only my amazing skill as a cyclist that managed to avoid a collision. And he turns around like quite offended. And he says, "How did you not let us know you were coming?" I said, "I rang my bell." He said, "Oh, I thought that was my phone." I now need to get a bell that doesn't sound like a text message. Sometimes there is a moment where how you respond determines what's going to happen next in your life. Maybe today we're in that moment. Sometimes people lose that sense in this story of meeting Jesus because they get caught up in religious rules or what people have got to believe. You don't see any of that in this story. This is about an encounter that sparks a flame in your heart. In Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen becomes the girl on fire. Her PR team create a dress that sparks into fire, which also connects with her District 12 heritage of coal mining. Faith doesn't make you someone different. What it does do is it sparks you to recognize who you truly are, to recognize what you can become, to see the future that you can create. Today's story is that moment that sparks you and sets you on fire. But it's not the end of the story. It's just the beginning. Yesterday is a really good feel-good movie. If you have a list of movies that you're planning to watch during lockdown, add Yesterday to that. There is a world event that makes everyone forget the Beatles, except Jack Mallet. I want you to pause me for a moment and watch the trailer. What would you do if you discovered something amazing? If you experienced something that could change your life forever? Perhaps this is your moment in time. Your moment to discover something that will make that difference for everything that lies ahead. Not your only moment, because there are lots of moments, lots of encounters, lots of opportunities that you meet along the way. but a moment. A girl on fire. A guy on fire. You on fire. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. In Secret Diary, Belle says, in life, you don't always get the ending you expect, but it helps if you write your own story. Let's do a prayer. God, in this moment, I open myself to that chance encounter or experience that might just change my life. Not to make me a different person, but to inspire me to catch a sense of who I truly am and how awesome I am. Today I want to feel on fire and to discover what an amazing story I have yet to write. Amen. I'd invite you for a moment just to share in just a few minutes of reflection. The music that we'll listen to during that is Gayatri Mantra in Oneness by Desert Rose. And just for a few moments, take some time out to listen and to reflect. And our next song to listen to or sing along with is Just a Closer Walk with Thee. Thanks so much for accessing today's service. It has been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to be sharing today with you. It would have been lovely to see you, but it is also very special just to share with you in our service today. Take care, look after yourself. I hope that the week ahead will be a really good one for you. Our closing song is I Hope You Dance. And I've also linked what we normally sing as our closing blessing. May God's blessings surround you today, if you want to listen to that afterwards. Thank you for being here. Take care.